What's up YouTube, Capital G here letting you guys know what the heck happened at YCS Milan that just wrapped up a little under an hour ago. As usual, I spent a great deal of my weekend reading up on the coverage and really watching a ton of the fantastic live stream so that you guys didn't have to. So unfortunately, I am snowed in down here in Charlotte, so I really didn't have anywhere I could go, but this event kept me thoroughly entertained. And the reason that I'm not actually uploading this on a Monday is quite frankly, I just could not hide my excitement because this was one of the most fantastic and entertaining events that I have seen probably in like the last half decade. This was absolutely monumental. Now, before I really touch on the YCS, I would like to thank any of you guys out there who are watching, whether you're subscribed or not, whether you don't like me or not. If you've ever watched one of my videos or you're a long time, hell, even a short time subscriber, thank you guys so much for helping me hit 100,000 subs. This is somewhere I never imagined that I would actually be when I first started my Yu-Gi-Tubing career. I just wanted to, post videos because I enjoy talking to other people about Yu-Gi-Oh! Never imagined that I'd be in this position, which is just absolutely fantastic, and I couldn't do it without you guys. So just wanted to give you guys a big thank you, and of course there will be more coming on that, but right now I want to focus on YCS Milan because this event was absolutely crazy. Before I jump in to all the ridiculousness and all the craziness that happened at this event, of course, I always like to start with the attendance, and the attendance for this event was absolutely huge. I think we're starting to see a trend every time Konami releases a new ban list and we have a YCS that is after that, we generally see these huge attendance numbers. You guys remember not too long ago, just a few months ago, we had the 200th YCS in Mexico City and Utrecht and, Columbus, Ohio over here in the United States, and we saw record numbers for that event. Basically, the same thing kind of happened. Now, we didn't hit those type of numbers, but this event closed in at almost 1,800 people, 1,767 to be exact. This is now the current largest tournament in Italian history. So this is the largest Italian event that has ever been held, whether it comes to nationals or YCS. And I believe that it says here that this is actually the third largest YCS in European history. And of course, obviously, Utrecht just earlier this year was actually the first. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Seems to just be killing it with the attendance numbers right now. And it's actually just fantastic that so many people came out. I really believe that Firewall Dragon being banned just rejuvenized everybody. Everybody's like, well, shit, my deck has a chance at winning. I think I can do great things now that Firewall, that big cancer, is out of the game. And we just gotta talk about the actual winner. I think I'm supposed to have him in another shot. No, this is definitely it. This was absolutely ridiculous. I don't think anyone saw this coming. Kinkaboo actually ended up winning the entire event with fucking Prank Kids. When I saw the top 32 breakdown, I looked at it and I saw a lot of things that I expected. I did see the one Prank Kids deck and, I kind of raised my eyebrow. A lot of times it is, it's kind of a trend in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you'll see that rogue deck in the top 32 and you're kind of like, oh, that's pretty cool. Usually they'll give it a feature round or they'll give it a feature match at that point and it'll end up getting just slaughtered by, one of the meta decks. It'll play against Thunder Dragons or Sky Striker. It'll get obliterated and it kind of looks, from a distance like the deck got exposed, but this dude just kept on winning. And for anybody out there thinking that King Taboo looks familiar, you are 100% correct. At YCS Utrecht earlier this year, once again, this was the largest European tournament in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. He actually ended up getting second place with his Trickstar deck. Now, this was at a time where a lot of people basically thought, okay, it's 100% going to be Goki versus, Sky Striker for the throne of this event. Nobody really even considered Trickstar to be even in the mix. A lot of people thought Trickstar was a deck that had kind of fallen off and we weren't going to see it, and we ended up seeing this guy get all the way to the finals with this really weird version of Trickstar where he's main decking Cyber Dragons and all these mind control cards, and he's going second and he's just taking his opponent's boss monsters and their Sky Strikers and he's linking with them. So obviously he is an excellent duelist. He kind of is giving me a little bit of that Jeff Jones vibe where he's willing to play these decks, or obviously Trickstar is a deck that a lot of people knew about, but he's willing to play these decks that people don't necessarily give a lot of credit to, decks that people think are not very viable, and he basically just learns them. He tailor makes them to, be able to compete against the meta, and they just do amazing things. This is a shot from the finals, guys. For anybody thinking that this was some sort of fluke, and granted, he is one of the best players in the world right now. I think that when you play at 2 YCSs in a year, or 2 YCSs in the span of 4 months, and you're basically in the finals both of them, I think you can say you're one of the top dogs in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. I mean, this guy was absolutely bodying his way through these Thunder Dragon players. You can see right here, not only did he already win game 1, my man's got a Borlo Dragon and a Burlsworth Dragon on the field at the same time. Like, how do you even do that with Prank Kids? And obviously, it goes without saying that a lot of people were unfamiliar with the Prank Kids matchup. They didn't know what cards to negate. And from what I've actually seen, because I've played against it a couple of times and I was kind of in the same position, the deck can chain block like hell because of the field spell, which is not on the field because Colossus basically is going to kind of stop you from being able to use that card or really even being able to search it from like terraforming. But the field spell adds extra chain links. Obviously, the monsters add chain links themselves. So it can be a really difficult deck to kind of stop in. I've always thought Prank Kids was almost identical to something like Ritual Beast. It's a very difficult deck to play and a very difficult deck to stop because you don't exactly know, like, the monsters all summon themselves, and it's kind of hard to remember, like, did this one already use its effect? Did this one not use its effect? There's also the fact that this is one of the only decks in the meta that can actually adjust its life points constantly. Not only can this deck burn you, but it can gain 1,000 life points per turn, which actually is super relevant. In both of these duels, he was over like 10,000 life points at, one point, which obviously is going to be incredibly good. And when it comes to, the end of match procedure, or even if it looks like you're going into time. And here's the thing, King the Bull's path to this championship was 100% not easy. This guy had to play against some of the best players in the entire world. Personally, if you just ask me right now who's the best Yu-Gi-Oh player, well, at least before this event, I probably would have picked Andre Torres. For those of you guys who don't know who this guy actually won the 200 YCS that was in Mexico, about 2,700 plus players at that event. He won with Burning Abyss, and then just a couple of months after that, he ends up winning a UDS championship as well with Thunder Dragons, and now he's in the top 4, and honestly, man, King the Bull just made him look absolutely silly. He dominated him in their top 4 match. Even though Andres did get a game loss because he did unfortunately forget the unside, it honestly wasn't that close. He went first in game 2, and King the Bull just honestly ran circles around him. Even the other guy that he played in the finals, which again, you can see right here, Federico, this guy got 2nd place at the Italian National Championship. So this guy is playing against amazing players. And, these matches, there were no game 3s. Like, he 2-0'd both of them in absolutely commanding fashion. Quite frankly, after watching these duels, I'm not sure that this matchup is actually winnable for Thunder Dragons. There's no way for Thunder Dragons to just press through when Prank Kids, they have so many damn floating monsters and, their links and their fusions, they can kind of tag them out. Very similar to Ritual Beast, and makes them where they can't be destroyed by battle and basically just wall up. And honestly, they don't really need to do all that much searching except for the first activation of the field spell and then maybe terraformings and stuff like that after that. Really, when the deck gets rolling, it kind of seems like it's an unstoppable train, and really, Thunder Dragons don't seem to have a reliable answer to Borlo Dragon because he made Borlo Dragon basically in every duel, and it was just absolutely a wrap for these Thunder Dragon players. I think that when we do look at the top 32, if I can actually find that and pull it up, here it is. We look at the top 32, and we see kind of what we expected. A lot of people expected Sky Striker to be probably the best deck going into this format, and it did have very good representation over 1/3 of the top 32. Then you had Thunder Dragons, which Thunder Dragons actually beat out Sky Strikers for the finals. I want that to be known. Sky Strikers did not even make it to the finals at this event. It was a Thunder Dragon versus Prank Kids matchup, and it's kind of crazy because Prank Kids aren't even represented in the top 32 breakdown. All it says is just other, it's just amazing that a deck that didn't even get its own category actually ends up winning the event. We see Altergeist taking about 3 spots. I think that is definitely expected. I still feel like Altergeist is an amazing and a solid deck. I do say, on the other hand, man, these combo decks, these warrior decks, these decks that people were talking up, the Rhongo, Bongo, Turbo, the deck fucking flopped. I mean, less representation than Altergeist in the top 32. Like, that is definitely not a good look. Same thing kind of goes with Goki. Personally, I think on my top 5 decks of the format, I said that I didn't think Goki was very good anymore because I think the deck just needs firewall too much now. And the problem with these combo decks, these warrior combo decks, is even though Isold and Summon Sorceress are absolutely amazing and broken cards, the problem is they really can't fight through disruption that well. I feel like these decks, if you stop their Isold, basically they just lose the duel, and it's too hard, I would say, to consistently go second and be able to win. And you know, it's not like you're going to be able to control the dice roll. Like, what if you go second and your opponent has, you know, a couple of big Thunder Dragons on the field, and then they wait for you to summon Summon Sorceress, and then they just pop it with a Thunder Dragon Titan? You basically aren't going, like, you don't have any legitimate plays at that point. Now, for me, it is a little concerning to see Gem Knight FTK still take a top 32 spot. It tells you that, hey, the FTKs are still real without Firewall Dragon. We knew that Gem Knight FTK was still going to be a legitimate thing. I wonder if it's still the same guy who actually made top 16 at YCS London. I think that that would be amazing if he was like, you know what, Cap, I'm running it back. We also saw True Draco and other Danger variants make it to the top 32. I think True Draco obviously is really solid, and it's a deck that, especially if it goes first, and with those Floodgate cards, Skill Drain, the Monarchs Erupt, even other things like There Can Only Be One, that deck can just straight up take over. Plus it can play like Anti-Spell Fragrance against decks that need a lot of spell cards, something like Sky Strikers to basically destroy that matchup. I told you guys, even without Firewall Dragon in the FTK, that I thought Danger was a legitimate deck, even, you know, whether or not you're running Dark Worlds. I think that more people are really starting to just rely on Saryuja Skuldred for their plays, so we're seeing a lot of Danger decks still be part of the meta. One thing that I have to just absolutely applaud Konami EU for, this is something I definitely did not expect, but they even went around. They had a segment right here that they posted where they went around the venue and they actually asked the players openly how they felt about the new ban list. Like, did they like it? Did they feel like it did enough? What did they not, you know, what did they not personally like about the ban list? What should have happened, etc., etc. And I thought that this was really good because it shows that Konami is at least, that they're at least willing to acknowledge some feedback. A lot of people said that they loved Firewall getting hit, but they didn't feel like it did enough. And I think it was very big of Konami to actually show that, because this could have been something where it's just like, you guys got a new ban list, we're not going to talk about that, we'll do whatever we want. But at least they were willing to, you know, take some feedback from the players. Now, when it comes to the secondary market, you guys knew that this shit was going to happen, since we had a deck that a lot of people disregarded as just a bad or trash deck. Look at it, it even went up a quarter. Prank Kids Place is now a $20+ card. I say rest in pepperonis to anybody who was, you know, maybe on the fence of Prank Kids, because now you went from a deck that you probably could have picked up the entire thing for like $40 to, it's probably going to be like $100 deck now. I'm talking about getting basically all the pieces, because I do know that there are a couple of the extra deck monsters that are kind of close to like $5, but Prank Kids Place is now a $20+ card. And I even went to the EU market site, which I never use this site, but yep, it's inflated on here as well. So what do you guys think? Do you guys believe that the format was broken? Do you guys still think Sky Striker was the best deck? How do you guys think that this young man actually ended up breaking the meta and winning with fucking Prank Kids? Do you guys think that this was a fluke? Do you think that it's just him being one of the best players in the world? Or do you guys believe that Prank Kids are a legitimate deck? Do you think that it was just because a lot of people didn't know what the deck does, which I still believe is 100% true, but I also believe that there are just some matchups like the Thunder Dragon matchup and the Sky Striker matchup that are really good, because that freaking Rip and Roar Roaster, that Link monster, the one that has the Feather Duster, yeah, I heard that's pretty good against Sky Strikers when they have a whole bunch of cards in their back row and then you just nuke all of them at once. It's pretty damn good. But whatever you guys think, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.